Anime has long been considered a bit of a niche fandom, but it's growing bigger and bigger, and it's not that different from more popular entertainment genres. There are a lot of misconceptions about anime out there. Here are a few things people tend to get wrong. If someone says, "I don't like anime," there's a lot more to unpack in that statement than you might think. First and foremost, what do they mean by anime? The word literally just refers to animation, and Western audiences use it as a blanket term for animation from Japan. But there's no strict definition of what anime really is. Anime expert Jonathan Clements gave a talk at Anime Fest in 2015 about popular misconceptions regarding the medium, and noted that one famous book on Japanese anime studies spent 100 pages arguing over exactly what anime was. Are we talking about anime for kids, violent anime, adult anime, romantic anime, low-budget, television, film, or something else altogether? Anime from Japan is just too wide a net to cast when trying to discuss something with such a long history and such a diverse amount of content. When you try to factor in animation from Korea or China, or maybe animation made in North America in a Japanese style, are those things still anime? There are a lot of questions to ask, but not a lot of solid answers. Most Western audiences of a certain age likely had their first contact with anime with Astro Boy or the 1998 film Akira. Younger audiences obviously came into the fold with powerhouses of anime like Dragon Ball Z, which got an English language release in 1996, or Pokemon, which premiered on Game Boy and TV in 1998. However, what we call anime in Western culture is much older than you think. In fact, great examples of anime, both short and full length, can be traced back as far as 1917. There's actually an even older example of Japanese animation, though it's not a full-length film and never had a commercial release. It features an animated boy writing on a blackboard, then turning around to salute. The first known work of traditional Western animation is 1908's Phantasmagoria. This puts anime on equal footing with cartoons of the West and means these two styles grew up together. To a lot of people, cartoons are for kids, and not without reason. They're flashy, colorful, and appealingly fantastical. But by the same token, adults are quick to embrace Pixar animation. In fact, all of Pixar's films up until 2019 have grossed over $100 million at the box office, and it isn't just kids paying to see those films. We're able to accept animation for adults, or at least animation that can be enjoyed by both children and adults. So why do people think that anime is just for kids? This is partly because most of the very popular animes, things like Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon, are very child-friendly. However, just because some anime is child-friendly doesn't mean all anime is child-friendly. North American audiences tend to categorize anime as its own genre, but there are romance anime, action anime, comedy anime, and some that are relatively mature, like the very dark Death Note.
You're going to love this. Trust me.
One of the major criticisms lobbed at anime relates to the violence. Some people have questioned whether the violence is necessary or if it actually diminishes the story and medium. A lot of anime plots are not bound by any laws of nature, allowing them to explore baffling levels of violence and gore. Characters can get shot multiple times, explode in clouds of blood, and mutate into bizarre, disturbing monsters. But is that so different than, say, a Western action movie? If you only focus on violent anime, then of course you'll think all anime is violent. However, this is not the norm. Dramatic stories like Golden Time or just goofy fun like Polar Bear Cafe eschew fighting in favor of romance or silly comedy. Basically, you need to look at anime the way you look at any TV. It covers the whole range. Ironically, while some think that anime is too juvenile, others feel the exact opposite. Anime is often labeled as obscene and unfit for children. It's true that some anime is adult-oriented. If you've ever Googled anime and run into some adult videos you didn't intend to see, you know this all too well. But again, this isn't different from regular film. Most obscene anime is called hentai. It may feel more disturbing to audiences than regular erotic video because it's animated, and many of us associate animation with children. Adult anime is popular, but so are adult films with real-life actors. You wouldn't show these to kids, and if they're not your thing, you can avoid them just as you would with Western adult videos. Osamu Tezuka, considered by many to be the father of anime, created the show in the 1960s and used an incredibly bold animation method to sell the show. That method? He cheaped out on it. One of the earliest animes experienced by Western audiences was Astro Boy. While traditional animation was about 24 frames per second, Astro Boy was running at a downright sluggish 10 frames per second. Tezuka also had a bank of image frames that could be reused and recombined again and again for new scenes. This means that to audiences with a discerning eye, anime came across looking a little stilted, repetitive, and cheap. Toss in a very long opening theme song that was repeated every episode and a very long closing credit sequence, and you only needed to make maybe 15 minutes worth of cartoon per 30-minute show. While some anime relied on the Tezuka method to produce numerous episodes on the cheap, The breadth of anime means one example of low-cost filmmaking doesn't really represent the whole. Compare a low-budget movie on sci-fi with something like Avatar, it's apples to oranges. This is why some anime like Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away can look so remarkably different. That movie was made on a $19 million budget. Steam Boy holds the record for the most expensive anime ever at $20 million. So sure, some can be cheap, but just like Hollywood, some properties break the bank. One of the easiest ways people dismiss something is by calling it stupid or lazy. It's a catch-all insult that doesn't really mean much, and it's been levied against anime since it first showed up. Objectively speaking, however, anime has been lauded more than once for its powerful storytelling and exceptional imagery. One of the foremost anime filmmakers in the world is Hayao Miyazaki. His films include Princess Mononoke, Kiki's Delivery Service, and Howl's Moving Castle. His 2001 epic, Spirited Away, ended up being the highest-grossing film in Japanese history. Moreover, Spirited Away won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature in 2003. Howl's Moving Castle was nominated in 2006, and The Wind Rises was nominated in 2014. Other anime features such as When Marnie Was There and The Tale of Princess Kaguya have also received nods. The fact is, anime can and does deliver some very exceptional storytelling. Perhaps people just need to be open to experiencing it. One of the most infamous American tales was from 1997 when word got around that up to 12,000 children watching Pokemon in Japan were suffering seizures due to flashing lights during a specific episode. The Simpsons even used an episode to send The Simpsons to Japan, where they fell victim to a seizure-inducing action cartoon. While it's true that quickly flashing lights have the ability to trigger epileptic seizures, it's unlikely that this phenomenon was widespread, if it happened at all. Despite the hype surrounding this news story, it doesn't hold up to scrutiny. The diagnosis was not Pokemon-induced seizures, but mass hysteria. Symptoms of dizziness, headaches, and vomiting don't track with a seizure diagnosis, while actual seizure symptoms like drooling, tongue biting, and stiffness were nearly non-existent. What actually happened was that some children reacted to the show, and then the next day 10,000 more cases suddenly appeared. It was only after the media covered those few initial incidents that everyone else jumped on the Pikachu pox bandwagon. It's possible some children had legit seizures. About 1 in 5,000 people suffer from photosensitive epilepsy, but it just wouldn't be that many kids at once. Any fandom is likely going to have its detractors. Hating on things is arguably the most popular sport in the world, and it happens to everything from Star Wars to Nickelback. So maybe it's no surprise that despite anime's popularity, detractors will often criticize not just the thing itself, but its fan base. Fans of anime, as with fans of many things in nerd culture, are often derided as weird or losers. The thing about anime fandom is it's very diverse. In fact, a number of celebrities have professed to being big anime fans. Everyone from Keanu Reeves, who played John Wick and was once attached to a Cowboy Bebop movie, to Samuel L. Jackson, who has lent his voice talent to Afro Samurai. MMA star Ronda Rousey has even gone on record with her love for Dragon Ball Z's Vegeta.
I really wish that they would do another Dragon Ball Z, except for with the Cell Saga with the androids, and I would really love to be Android 18.
And the late, great Robin Williams was known to be a huge Neon Genesis Evangelia fan.
What do you have there?
Evangelion.
Oh. Neon Genesis Evangelion. Wow. What does he do?
Just goes to show the world of anime appeals to all kinds of people. Terminology can be a tricky thing in any industry. If you've ever listened to a group of doctors or nurses trying to explain something to each other while they toss around medical jargon, it can be a little overwhelming to the untrained ear. Similarly, what seems obvious to someone who's deeply immersed in the anime culture may as well be ancient Greek to an outsider being exposed to it for the first time. It's made worse because some terms are used interchangeably when they really shouldn't be. Though it seems obvious, the word anime refers exclusively to animation. Anything not animated really can't be anime. If it's a book, it's manga. If it's a book about a popular anime, it's the manga adaptation of that anime. If it's an animation based on a book, then the reverse is true. It's the anime adaptation of manga. Most people only know anime as that action-packed stuff that, whether intended for kids or adults, seems to be cranked up to 11 all the time. Usually there's a sci-fi element, maybe monsters, and you better believe someone is getting seriously beat up with a lot of flashing lights and yelling. What many people don't realize is just how niche anime can be. There's an anime for everyone, whether you know it or not. Some are so oddly unique that you might struggle to find any casual fans, but they're out there. Extremely niche animes range from things like Storybook, which is an anime adaptation of Bible stories, to Anara Goru, which is about a living fart. There's even one called She and Her Cat, about a young woman growing up and branching out on her own life, as seen entirely from her cat's perspective. Yes, there are really mainstream anime genres out there, but if you have any kind of obscure interest at all, there's a good chance someone's covered it in an anime. Anime's popularity has been growing steadily since the 1990s Pokemon revolution, and revenue for Japanese animation has grown every year from 2009 to 2019, according to the Association of Japanese Animations. It's extremely popular in numerous markets, including China, Korea, and of course the United States. In fact, the global anime market was worth over $7 billion in 2016 alone. So yes, it's very much still a thing, and is increasingly more a thing each and every year. Check out one of our newest videos right here, plus even more grunge videos about anime are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.